What if I told you that 70% of entrepreneurs didn't fully research their idea before launching? And let's just be honest, that's just the people who own up to it. Now, the real number, probably a lot higher. Now, here's why that matters. Too many business owners, they waste their money, their time, their energy on ideas that are essentially DOA, dead on arrival. They just don't realize it yet. The good news is that it doesn't have to be you, because in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to figure out if your business idea is viable. We're going to go through my process of separating the ideas that have real potential from the ones that are, well, just expensive mistakes waiting to happen. And look, starting a business, it's exciting. That's true. But let's face it, it's also a high stakes game. And not all ideas are created equal. In fact, the difference between success and failure often comes down to just one thing: how well you evaluated your idea before diving in. Now, that might sound a little intimidating, but don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll have, I would say, a straightforward, actionable framework to evaluate your business idea like a seasoned pro. So let's jump in, because here's the real problem. Too many entrepreneurs fall head over heels for their ideas. And let me tell you, falling in love with a business idea, that's a lot like falling in love with a person. And when you're first starting out, right, it's easy to overlook the red flags. In fact, in one of my coaching programs, we dedicate the entire first 2 weeks to validating your business idea, because this step is everything. If you get it right, you build on a strong foundation. If you skip it, you're setting yourself up for frustration and possibly failure. And the truth is, every great business starts with a viable, winning idea. But here's the catch. Most people don't know how to figure out if their idea has what it takes. That's why today, I want to dive into the 3 biggest challenges I see entrepreneurs face: market saturation, financial viability, and the lack of clarity on who their audience really is. And what I mean by that in terms of market saturation is, maybe your idea is great, but the market is already crowded. So how will you stand out? Most entrepreneurs, they have no workable plan for how to deal with that. Now, the second common challenge that I see is financial viability. In other words, you have an idea, but do the numbers work? Can you make it profitable? And how do you know? The majority of aspiring early stage business owners don't actually have a realistic or well-researched plan or even a proven methodology for how they're going to grow a profit-generating business. I see a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, which are good things, but those need to be combined with things like market analysis and a strategized and realistic way to develop a game plan that'll actually get you there. Ambition and optimism alone, it's not going to do that. And the third challenge that I see most often is a lack of clarity on your target audience. What I mean by that is you cannot sell to everyone. Listen, without a clear understanding of who your customer is, you're just shooting in the dark. And it doesn't need to be that way, because we have a process for that. And while a proven process won't guarantee your business will succeed, it will dramatically stack the odds in your favor. So let's start there. And hey, if you're new to my channel, I'm Gary Smith, U.S. Army veteran, a business and marketing adjunct professor, and I'm a small business coach who specializes in working with aspiring and early stage entrepreneurs. That said, let's explore the 3 key factors that determine whether your business idea has real potential. Now, number 1 is market research, because market research is really the cornerstone of turning a business idea into a thriving enterprise. Now, it begins with understanding who your competitors are, but go beyond that. Go beyond just identifying their names, right? Study their business models, study their pricing strategies, their customer bases, their marketing tactics, right? What are they doing exceptionally well, and where are their weaknesses? This analysis, it isn't about copying. It's about finding your unique angle to compete effectively. Next, you want to uncover the gaps in the market. And there are specific customer needs or other desires that maybe nobody's addressing right now. Great business ideas often hide in these overlooked areas. For example, look at how niche products or services have disrupted larger markets by, I would say, targeting underserved groups. Another essential aspect that you want to look at are spending trends. What are customers willing to invest their money in? Analyzing purchase patterns can provide insights into what's in demand and also help align your idea with customer interest. So this is where it sometimes makes sense to take a step back, right? Get out of your own head and then look at how the market is behaving and also what consumers are focusing on. In fact, trends in industries such as health tech, eco-friendly products or subscription services, these can highlight opportunities worth exploring. Now, you do have to invest the time and the research. You need to dig a little bit, but that's where you often begin to see the start of what could be some great ideas. And keep in mind that great ideas rarely come fully formed. Finally, dive into distraction zones. What I mean by that are actively seeking out customer frustrations and complaints with existing solutions, right? If you don't have a lot of sales yet, that's fine. Maybe you're just in the planning stages of your business. So you can check out competitors' reviews, online forums, social media discussions, because these are a gold mine for unfiltered feedback. Think about it like this. Every complaint is a potential opportunity to create a service that outshines your competition. And here's a pro tip for you. As you perform market research, compile your findings into a SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, because this structured approach, it'll help give you a comprehensive understanding of where your idea stands in the market. And here's the thing, if it's been a while since maybe you've completed a SWOT analysis, or maybe you've never completed one before, and that's fine. Keep in mind that strengths and weaknesses are internal, opportunities and threats, those are external. And I actually teach this in one of my coaching programs, and I'm planning to open up the wait list in early 2025. So if that sounds like something that might be exciting to you or interesting to you, keep an eye out for that. I'll be sharing the details of how you can get involved in the next couple of months. Now, the second factor that we're going to delve into is audience demand. And understanding audience demand is really about identifying and connecting with the real people who benefit from your product or your service. So you want to start by really defining who your target audience is as specifically as possible, right? What are their demographics, their interests, their behaviors? For instance, are they young professionals looking for convenience, or maybe their families prioritizing budget-friendly solutions? The more detailed your audience profile is, the better you can tailor your offer. And then once you've identified your target audience, go ahead and validate their interest, right? Surveys are a powerful tool that you can really use here. Design questions that help to uncover those pain points and also their buying behavior. Ask potential customers what solutions they currently use and what improvements they'd like to see. Just by implementing this simple action step, you'll gain invaluable insights straight from the source. That said, pre-sale campaigns and wait lists, these are excellent ways to gauge interest. These approaches really test whether customers are willing to commit to the product before it even exists. Now, people, if they're willing to pay for something or maybe sign up for things in advance, that's a strong indicator of genuine demand. And be sure to pay attention also to indirect signals, right? What I mean by that are signals such as, social media engagement, search trends, online community discussions, because these can reveal what your audience cares about. And there's tools out there as well, tools like Google Trends or social listening platforms. These can really help you track these patterns. But be cautious of assumptions, right? Just because you think your idea is great doesn't mean your audience will. So use data and feedback to drive your decision, not personal bias, right? So remember, solving a real problem for your audience is the key to creating lasting demand. And don't be frustrated if you have an idea or two that doesn't hit, right? Most ideas are not going to hit, but you have to work through those bad ones to uncover the good ones. Sometimes an idea just needs to be maybe tweaked a little bit. Other times, that idea is not going to hit no matter what you do, right? It's just not in demand. But it's better to find out now as opposed to later, after you've invested your time, your resources, your emotions into a failing business idea because you didn't do the upfront work to confirm viability. Now, the third factor that I see most often, I want to share with you today, are startup costs and financial viability. Listen, friends, one of the most common reasons businesses fail is financial mismanagement, right? Often stemming from underestimating costs. So let's break this down into two critical categories. Now, the first are initial costs, and these are the expenses required to launch your business, right? So think about things like equipment, technology, legal fees, branding, and maybe your first batch of inventory or prototypes, right? Are there maybe licenses or certifications that you need to operate legally? Make a realistic price estimate for each item, right? So if you don't know the price, avoid that temptation of just guessing. That way you can put down a number. Do the research, find out what it's really going to cost. Now, the second category is going to be ongoing costs, right? These are the expenses that you'll face month to month, right? They include things like rent, salaries, utilities, subscriptions, and raw materials. And don't forget the less obvious costs, things like software updates, insurance, maintenance. And while ongoing expenses might not be the most exciting area of exploration, I don't want you to skip over these because having a thorough understanding of these reoccurring expenses, that'll help you set the right pricing strategy and also reach your revenue goals. Also, to ensure financial viability, you want to calculate your break-even point. In other words, that's the moment where your revenue, it matches your expenses. Right now, this is a key metric. In fact, I did an entire video on how to calculate your break-even point because being able to work this calculation will give you clarity on how much you need to sell and also what price you got to be at to sustain your business. So I'll include that as well. And do yourself a favor and create a buffer fund for unexpected costs because guess what? Markets are going to shift, right? Your equipment's going to break and delays are going to happen. And I wouldn't even assign that to being just a business owner. I would say, hey, that's just real life 101. It's going to happen. Stuff's going to happen. So having extra funds can be the difference between just a temporary setback or maybe a permanent shutdown. Now, another area that you want to examine are your funding sources. And what do I mean by that? Are you bootstrapping? Are you seeking investors or are you applying for loans? Each decision comes with its own risks and also its rewards. For instance, while a loan might provide an initial injection of cash, it's not without strings attached, right? It creates ongoing debt obligations that you have to carry on your back. On the other hand, right, bootstrapping offers full control, but it might limit your company's initial growth, at least at the beginning and in the short term. So you have to determine how you're going to navigate your way through those decisions. And you may want to talk to a professional in order to, I would say, understand your options, also the long-term consequences of any decisions that you undertake. Now, I've got another pro tip for you, which is to use some financial forecasting tools, or maybe you even want to work with an accountant. By doing that, you're able to kind of map out different scenarios because going through that exercise, that'll help you anticipate the challenges. It'll also help you really crystallize and make better decisions because I would say a clear financial picture isn't just about survival. I want to see you set your business up so that you can survive long term. And that brings us to feasibility, which is really about evaluating whether you have the resources, time, money, skills, support necessary to bring your idea to life. Now, not all good ideas are going to survive, but you can definitely help stack the odds in your favor by taking an honest inventory of what you have and what you need. For example, do you have the technical skills or the industry knowledge to develop your product? If not, can you partner with someone who does? Maybe you can hire talent to fill in the gaps. Next up, take a hard look at your financial capacity. Are you planning to fund this project with savings or are you leaning toward loans or grants or investors? Each option comes with trade-offs, right? Debt might ramp up your risk while bringing on investors could mean, giving up some control over your business. But here's a kicker. Not every decision is purely about dollars and cents. It's not. Sometimes you need to factor in peace of mind. Now, let's say that you need $10,000 to grow your business. Now, sure, you could probably easily take out a loan, but if the thought of that debt hanging over your head, right, it makes your stomach churn, that's a signal worth paying attention to. For some, the stress of debt, it's not worth it. And that's totally valid. Now, if that resonates with you, then the right move for you might be to save up, to stack cash, and to hold off until you've got the 10 grand in hand, ready to go. The goal isn't just to grow your business. It's to grow it in a way that really aligns with your values and keeps you sane. That said, time is another critical resource. How much of your day, your week, your month can you realistically dedicate to this venture? For side hustlers and entrepreneurs balancing other responsibilities, this can make or break your timeline. And be sure not to overlook the other external factors that could influence feasibility. For example, are there maybe legal or regulatory barriers that you need to overcome? Do you have access to suppliers, to distribution channels, or the technology required to make your idea a reality? You see, feasibility isn't just about what you can do, but also about understanding the landscape that you're entering. So this is where I'd recommend creating a roadmap that really outlines your key milestones, the resources required, and any contingency plans you might have. Because having a roadmap will not only guide your execution, but also highlight any gaps that you need to address before moving forward. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked gifts that you can give yourself as an entrepreneur, which is the permission to test and learn. Because here's the thing, testing and learning are critical steps in validating your business idea without investing significant resources up front. In fact, the concept of having a minimum viable product or an MVP, this allows you to create a simplified version of your product or your service to gauge customer interest and collect feedback. The key is really to focus on delivering just enough functionality to test your assumptions. In other words, start small. Right, this could be something as simple as setting up a landing page, maybe offering pre-orders, or even manually fulfilling orders to simulate the customer experience. The goal is to observe how potential customers interact with your offer. Right, are they willing to buy? Do they leave feedback or request maybe specific features? Right, use this information to refine or improve your product. And while there's other low-cost testing methods, we're not going to delve into those today, but I would encourage you to treat each test that you perform as a learning opportunity, right? By that, I mean, gather qualitative and quantitative data so that you can understand what's working and what's not, right? You want to adapt quickly, but you also want to recognize patterns that indicate whether your idea has long-term potential. Testing isn't just about finding out the flaws, right? It's about discovering what resonates most with your target audience. Now, if you want to learn more about how to launch your startup or grow your business, just click or swipe the screen to watch this next video.